I'm going to talk about salaries and figures, and anybody here can jump in afterwards. I've shared my salary with you guys when I was playing. I was earning in 2099, I was earning 900 Rand a month. And at the time, I think we became league champions with Manning Rangers. I was earning 900 Rand a month. I wasn't a first team player. I shouldn't have been earning any more, according to myself. But you go to 2000, Patrick Mayo moves from Tata Bucks to Supersport for 800,000. His monthly salary is 20,000 a month. So 800,000 for the listeners out there is 40,000 pounds, $68,000. So Patrick Mayo would have been earning, I would say, a decent salary at that time. But now let's fast forward it to today. In the Premier League, which is a well-established PSL, players earn close to between 1 and 3 million South African rands, which can equate to 250,000 Rand a month. Now, for people in the United Kingdom, people in America, that's 147,000 pounds a year. In America, 177,000 American dollars. So salaries have changed tremendously over time.
Definitely.
Do you think that helps the players now more than in the past to prepare for life after football? Anybody can jump in.
Yeah, I can go in. On my side, Courtney, I think they deserve that salary. It's only that they should show it on the ground. If it can balance what people see at the stadium, that's the only thing that I've got a problem with. But I am happy that our players are earning what they are earning today, because that could help them after football, unlike us, our generation.
Matthew, I see you've changed your background. You want to jump in there?
Yeah, it just got a bit noisy in the other part of the house. I'm afraid there's some workers just outside, so I just had to quickly change. But yeah, with regards to salary, unfortunately, what's happened is that whether you were earning 10,000 Rand back in the day, or 100,000 pounds a week now, our savings, our attitude towards savings hasn't changed, and the statistics are still very much the same. Where I think I mentioned to you before, Courtney, in our previous interview, both in Europe and here in South Africa, 75% of players 5 years after retirement are going to be bankrupt, divorced, or drug or alcohol dependent. That's a scary statistic, and often we get caught up in the English Premier League, and we hear about these salaries of £300,000 a week, etc. But that's actually only a handful of players. The lower EPL teams and in the Championship and first and second division, I mean, the salaries are probably more on par here in South Africa. So it's only a handful of players that earn that kind of ridiculous salary, and even them, they they live a certain lifestyle while they are playing, and they don't take into consideration that they still have to keep that standard of lifestyle for another 3 or 4 decades after retirement. And I think players must start to take cognizance of that factor.
Fani, you are close to professional players at the moment at Swallows. What point do you have on that? And we'll come to Benedict straight after.
Yeah, I think that I really agree with what Matthew is saying. It depends. Everything is dependent to the lifestyle at the time, and and the situation, yeah, where you find yourself in as an individual. So the inflation at the time when we were playing was much more equated to the amount that we were in. So as a senior citizen amongst these gentlemen here, I think we were even worse. It's much more like if you compare the generations, we were much more like volunteering to play, because we were earning a stipend, so to say. I think our fortunes changed to those that went outside of South Africa to ply their trade in Europe. So it was a different ball game. But we were never clever enough, or we were not aware of some of the intricacies that were there, like your percentage that you have to get as a player when you move from the team here to the team outside of South Africa. That's where we lost some of the revenue. But yeah, one tried to save for the future, but probably it will never be enough. That's why I was talking about trying to update yourself all the time, so that you are always ahead, you're a step ahead to get these opportunities. So yeah, that's the situation. The players today, of course, they earn a lot. The unfortunate part is that they read about these things that happen to other players, you know, but they still do the same mistakes. They never want to listen. They never want to get advice. If there is let's make an example. If there is the team has organized a wealth manager to come and talk about their spending or 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 preparing for life after football. How you have to invest your monies and so on and so forth. Very few will always stay behind or be there in that particular room. I must say there are few teams that I have seen that their owners. Take an example of Iron Duke. He forces players at Pirates to sit down and listen to those people, wealth managers. When I was at Amazulu, it was the same thing. When I was a chief, yes, they were trying, but hey, very difficult. So very few teams that are able to bring up across or to come up to be heard by players when they bring this message. Of, this message is very important, saying prepare your life after football. Know how to.
Fani, you mind if we bring Benedict in at the moment? Benedict, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Thabo's given a brilliant perspective. Fani's given a brilliant perspective. Matthew as well. And Matthew's even given statistics of how post-football, even with large sums of money, people find themselves in difficult situations. What is your view, Benedict?
Yeah, man. There's a few things that we need to look at when it comes to this thing of salaries while players are playing, because I personally I see it as it's a change of life in general when you look at it, because when you look at the days when Fani Madida, when he was playing, life was different. He come as also coming in, the life has changed altogether. Now you look at the players that are playing now, the life has changed altogether. So I hear everyone what he says in terms of players when they get money, they need to save and prepare for the future and all of that. But again, remember that when you take a young boy from the township who doesn't know anything in terms of saving, doesn't know anything actually in terms of how he use the money. The only thing that all the kids that they think of is the family. It will be my mother, my father, my siblings to take care of them. And now when that time comes for you to retire, you are alone. The very same people that you were, some when you were taking care of them, you find that maybe they also not working, or maybe others are working, but they've just moved on with their lives. But what I'm trying to say here is that we need to help our players when they get to professional football to say, boy, I know where you're coming from. Where you coming from? Maybe you used to live with 100 rand a week, but now you want to spend 500 rand a week. Why can't you use 200 rand a week and then take that 100 rand and put it somewhere? They need to be helped, the players, because remember, one thing that it's in the player's mind is to play. I want to play. I want to play. When he gets money, look, I'm working. I've got money. I can do this and that and that. But one thing that players they forget is you're not gonna play football forever. That's the thing. And going back to the point of Thabo Mngomeni is that I agree with him to say, if teams, if I retired, like now, we all retired in the game. And I did also my a course, a KEF B license that I'm just waiting for the license to come. Meaning I can coach. Why can't these teams to say, okay, because you've got experience, you played the game, you played at the highest level, you were a leader in the team. It means that if we bring you in the team, we're gonna help these players and understand. Remember, players from us, they've got two advantages. It's a life of being a player before and the life of retired in the game. When you've got an advantage of learning from a person who did it as a player and is giving you the advice that, look, as a player, this is a mind that you guys have got. Because I've been there. But now, because of life, has changed. So now we need to change the way we live it. We need to change the set of mind in terms of the way we're doing things. Because now, when you get to the second point of life, this is how life is. And now, not everyone will survive in that space where you've retired, where now you need to sit down and think and say, how can I put food on the table for my family? Not everyone's got that mind, or to say, I must go and empower myself so that when I get an opportunity to coach and do whatever, then it's easier for me. So now these are the things that I believe personally that teams, they're supposed to say, not everyone's going to be a coach, but if Thabo is got a license to be a coach, if Matthew's got a license to be a coach, Benedict's got a license to be a coach, you've got an advantage to employ those people, because they've played the game. They had time to live that life, to say, this is how I went through that route. And now, as a coach, now it's easier for me to help those players to say, in terms of life, I'll coach them aside about life, and then bring them in the space of football to say, in football, this is how we apply ourselves. So I think in the transition of our football in South Africa, that's why our football is lacking in terms of having a good transition compared to overseas. When you look at them overseas, now you see Yaya Torres coming back, Ashley Cole also, they are also involved in the game. That transition, it helps players to understand and adapt and plan their future properly, because now they know what's happening.
Benedict, I'm going to come to you, Matthew, because you've spoken, Benedict, you've spoken about success stories and things that should happen.
Yeah.
But Matthew, you've touched on this, and I don't think you put it as bluntly as I'm going to say it. There is no God-given right that people should just get these opportunities as well because they played in the game. But the game is there to employ whoever they want. So listening to Benedict and everybody else, what do you think is the way forward in order to be able to not have the players drop off at the end and have these disastrous situations?
Yeah, I think, look, coaching is one way, but there's only so many coaching positions where you can actually earn money from. Although I'd recommend all players to get some form of a license. And what Thabo is doing is vitally important, because a lot of people talk about player development, but ultimately who's coaching the coaches, you know? And I wish that SAFA would roll out a program nationally, you know, to give the thousands and thousands of volunteers an opportunity to get their licenses. But also touching on Benedict's point there, there's also roles in administration, sports science. You know, it's not necessarily coaching opportunities, but ultimately the clubs are not going to offer that. You know, it's down to the player to make use while they are still playing, and network while they are still playing, while they are still popular and in the public eye. You know, once you're retired, people forget about you very quickly. So it's important to create a network of business people, administrators, while you are still playing, to prepare yourself for retirement. And yeah, my solution, to be honest with you, is, you know, when I was at Ajax Cape Town, we had a number of Dutch players who came to Cape Town. And I was always fascinated by the way they were so relaxed when it came to retirement. And I eventually found out the reason why was that in Holland, they have a forced pension fund. So 15 to 20% of their salary every month will go into a pension, whether you like it or not. And that will go into a massive investment fund, which at the moment is, I think, roughly on about 900 million euros in total. And when you retire, you have to wait 6 months before you can have an option, 3 options of how to take your money out. So these guys would often stay in Cape Town and get you know, up to 2,000, 3,000 euros a month upon retirement, you know, for the rest of their lives. And I think that's the way we can go, and not only in the football space, but also in the entertainment industry as a whole. You know, singers, actors, you name it, they're in the same boat as us, you know. So I feel that could be the way to go. And I did write a letter to the Minister of Arts and Culture and Sport, and I wrote the same letter to SAFA when they had that Indaba shortly after the late great Phil Masinga passed away. Unfortunately, I didn't get a response, but at least I attempted to bring it to their attention that this is what they're doing in some leagues in Europe, and they're doing it very successfully.
Coming to you, Fani Madida, you're currently at a club at the moment, leading youngsters, leading pros. What do you feel is this? Matthew's given his perspective on a solution. What do you think is a solution moving forward from your side?
Well, yeah, I think that he has said it all. You need the fund where players will be forced that you invest. You know, you take a percentage of their monies and invest it or save it for them. Because if you don't save themselves, you don't save them from themselves, then they will remain the victims. You know, so it's very much important. But on top of that, he also touched on coaching qualifications. A typical example is recently now the Belgian team You know, the FA, they equip their players. Now, as they were playing in the Euros in the past weeks, just before the end of the football season, they were qualifying players like Lukaku. They were qualifying with the basic coaching, and then when it comes to the Dutch in Holland, they take former players or ex-professional players and take them to the class all by themselves, not with other people that haven't played at their level. So they take them into one class and then they teach them about coaching. That's why you see a lot of the Dutch players, they sit in the national team bench now. I think, yeah, they are with Van Gaal now. Yeah, they are with Louis Van Gaal. Two of them are there. They are former players. So also in sport, they also need to know that it's not only coaching, refereeing, sports science. You know, those are not only things that are in sports. There are quite a vast number of things that you can do in sports. So, you know, like inventory with the kids, where does it go? Who looks after that? They can be groundsmen. You know, there are quite a number of things but they need to get a career pathway in sports. You know, if we can have a situation where Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, you know, they create a program that will talk to players about the life after football and show them different career paths in sport that they can take. I'm not saying only because others would be interested in doing other things outside of sports, but nurturing them and getting mentors and those people that are mentoring these players, they need to be people of good standing. I'm talking about us now that play in the sport. You know, we cannot advocate about players that they need to do ABCD. You know, you tell them about the advantages and disadvantages of the things that they are doing behavior-wise, whilst yourself you were caught doing a lot of things that are outside of behaving like an ambassador of football or an ambassador of sport itself. So you also need to keep your house in order. I think in that way, in the bigger scheme of things, it will work. And players also need to know that they are not representing themselves. They are representing their community where they come from. And from their community, they are representing their province. From the province, they are representing the nation, which is the South Africa. So they exemplary to the ones that are coming up.
Fani, I like your perspective because it looks at self-discipline, and you've linked onto Matthew's of looking outside of the country, looking at what he's done, that he's working elsewhere and trying to adopt it. Matthew, I know you have to go. I know you got a prior appointment. I wish you well for coming on today. Thank you so much for your insight you've given. We will be in touch, but we will continue. I'm going to come to you, Thabo. Do you want to give your perspective on how this can be solved moving forward to be better for the upcoming footballers?
Sure, my man. I can only add on just what Fani and Matthew have said. If there can be people that these players that are playing today can listen to, and I understand these players can only listen to players that have played, that have made it in football. The other thing is school, man. If we can encourage the youth that is playing now to further their studies, that's another way. I don't think there's another thing other than those that Matthew and Fani has said. And then you just add this one that I'm saying that if we can encourage the current players to go to school, it doesn't matter whether, just as Fani has said, that it doesn't have to be maybe coaching or what. You can even do IT for after football. You can even go for an engineering course or whatever, electric, what, anything that you know that you love other than playing football. I can stop there.
Thank you very much, Thabo. Finally, we're coming to you, Benedict. Do you have any solution that you think, listen, if we do this, and I know Matthew's given his perspective, Thabo's given his, Fani's given his, it may be similar, but I'd like to hear from you. What do you think could also lead to the success that we stop reading about these stories of fellow great players unemployed, not being able to look after their families? What do you think could or should be done?
From me, I take it as in our families, there's a father, there's a mother, and then there's siblings. Why I'm putting it in that manner? I'm putting it in that manner in the sense of there's SAFA, there's PSL. So it means there's a father, there's a mother. So if your father and the mother, they can come together and put a plan for their kids, there's no problem. So I'm putting it in that shell because yet Mentor said those Dutch guys, the association and the league, they were taking some percentage from their salaries every month. So that it goes back to say the parents, the mother and the father, of which is an association and the league, when they work together to say, look, we need to take care of our kids. These are our kids. So let's make sure that whatever we do, these kids tomorrow, they don't have to look back and say, no, but our parents, they didn't do anything for us. So what Coach Thabo and the director Fani Madida, they are 100% spot on, and I've seen around. I like what other current players. I was reading also on the news. Shanti is playing for Chiefs. He's playing left back at Chiefs. People, they look at it in the bad manner or in the bad way, where they say we saw him in some scrapyard with some mechanics. So what is he doing there? Now you ask yourself, he's trying to put something for him when he retires in the game, to say, I've got a scrapyard, I've got the mechanics that they will fix cars. Then that's how I'll earn a living, after I retire to the game. But now people, when they talk about that, they're talking about that in a negative way. So now you ask yourself that exactly what is it that players, current players or ex-players, what is that they need to do to earn a decent life? Because not everyone's going to be a doctor, it's going to be a lawyer, it's going to be a coach, it's going to be a millionaire. No, not everyone's going to be like that. So, each and every individual has got his own way. He's got his own things that I love to be, to own a farm. I want to go and stay in the farm and, deal about cows and everything. Others said, no, I want to be sound engineering, but when our players and ex-players, when they want to do that, do they get a support in terms of, we don't have to discourage them to say, he was a superstar playing soccer, now he's a mechanic. Things like that, these are the things that they make current players and ex-players, to feel that, I can't do such a job. You know, I can't go and coach school kids because I played the ball at the highest level. I must go and coach NFD or PSN. You know, the life in general also put pressure on the current players and the ex-players in terms of a certain life that they need to live. And now that's why you'll find that when they retire, there's problems now, and then they look back to say we need so and so and so and so to help. But generally, what I will say is that if the association and the league, that's the mother and the father, they come together and say, let's look after our kids, of which are the teams. You know, the teams have got players. Players, they come and play football. When after they've trained, then they don't know what is that they need to do. Then the teams and the association, they come together and put a program that will help them in terms of finding individually what is it that you want to do in the future, or if you're not playing soccer, what is that you wanted to be in life.
Benedict, Fani, Thabo, and Matthew has left us. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for the honesty in conversation today. What we will do is we need to start sharing our thoughts and how we want things to get better. And hopefully there's people out there that want to listen to us. But we will say to our supporters on the Whistle podcast, thank you for listening in. Thank you for always following us. And remember, if you don't know where to follow us, you can follow us on OTW_podcast. We're available. We have our own YouTube channel and Instagram channels as well. It's conversations like this we do for the supporters, but not only for supporters, young and upcoming players who needed guidance. And that's the most important thing. And I'm going to finish off with guidance I was given. In preparation for my career, which didn't go through, I remember senior pros, Robbie Mill and Bradley Meir, once stopping me in the change room and saying to me, Courtney, you need to start preparing for life after football. You are not making it. So you need to start thinking about something to do. And that level of honesty from those senior pros, I'll never forget. It was hard for me to accept, but being honest with each other is what helps. Gentlemen, thank you so much for today. I hope you have a brilliant day.